was sweeping. Anybody ever done that? Anybody know what I'm talking about? All right, well, you've already started where I did already. Already you are qualified to begin your career in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Sweeping is a science and an art. You got to know how to do it. Otherwise you miss stuff and you end up looking bad, okay? And so I had watched those guys sweep, so I swept out the area. I got out of the way when I knew the car was coming back in. Car came in, car went out. I swept, started cleaning things. Then I saw tools laying around, being moved. And I started kind of watching what tools went with what job. And I began to kind of have those tools ready as much as I could when the car came in, the guy started working. And I started handing guys tools to work on the car. Well, after a day or two of practice, they started saying, hey, since you're handing me tools, let me show you how to do this. And they started showing me how to do various things on the car. And I started doing various things on the car, started working on the crew. And I mean, when I got a chance to do something, I did it with all of my might. I put everything I had into it. I focused, I took notes. At night when I went back to the hotel, I'd write down what I did, almost keep a diary. And that way I kept in my mind what happened, where things went, all of that. Several of those guys, a few years later, went to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And when they did, they gave me a call. And they said, look, we're going to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. We appreciate you working hard on the team. We'd like you to make you a part of what we're doing. And that was my chance. I got one chance. And fortunately, I had worked for some guys that were former Winston Cup Series, Sprint Cup Series crewmen that taught me what I'm going to tell you tonight. I was taught these 6 principles, and I took them to heart. And if you'll take them to heart, not only are you going to be success in your future in the military, but you'll be success if you choose NASCAR as your future. The first is you need to watch. You need to watch what's going on, and you need to watch with an eye to learn, not with an eye to be entertained. You need to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. Think about the television programs you watch. What motivates you to watch what you watch? To be entertained, get a laugh, to enjoy, sit back and not think. Well, there's nothing wrong with baseball, football, all those games, but you need to incorporate into what you watch something that helps you to think and teaches you something about life. You need to start watching the news and some documentaries, something about the financials of the United States, something that teaches you about life. You need to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. In the garage area, watch where the car goes. Watch when practice starts, where they want you to stand. Watch what's going on. When someone's teaching you something, watch how they do it and what they do, and if you can, take notes on it. You watch with an eye to learn, not an eye to just be entertained. Okay? What's the first principle we talked about tonight? It is what? Say it together. Watch. One more time. Watch. And you watch with an eye to learn, not to be entertained. Okay? You watch with an eye to learn, not an eye to be entertained. Let's say that together. Watch with an eye to learn, not an eye to be entertained. Okay? Watch with an eye to learn, not an eye to be entertained. You need to watch. Watch what's going on. Pay attention to how people do things. Not only do they use tools, but where they go in the toolbox. You may be asked to go get that same tool under big pressure later. And so it wouldn't hurt you if you go to work for a race team to go through the drawers of the toolbox and see where the wrenches are, and see where the electronic components are, the Allen wrenches, all of the components of a race team, see where everything's at. And that way, when someone calls out for something, you can use it. I know that for our air gauges for the tire specialist, we use an 1 1/8" wrench. An 1 1/8". That's the only wrench he'll need. And so now you know that measurement. So if you see an 1 1/8" wrench laying around, you know who does it probably belong to? Tire specialist. That's exactly right. See, you've learned something tonight. You need to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. Secondly, you need to anticipate. You need to anticipate what's needed, and you need to anticipate what's next. If you help someone long enough, you're going to be able to anticipate what's needed. What does he need? The guy may need a bottle of water. He may need someone to hold his tools as he's working on something and needs a place to set them. He may need a pan to drain the grease or oil out from under the car. So if he's changing the rear gear in the car after qualifying, there's an entire kit that he's going to need. Help him get that and be ready to help him. You need to learn not only to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained, but you need to anticipate what's needed and what's next. In construction, in real estate, in the stock market, in the military, whoever you're helping, you need to learn to anticipate what's needed and what's next. So what's the second principle we talked about? You need to what? Starts with an A? And you need to anticipate what? What's needed. And That's right. Let's say it together. You need to anticipate what's needed and what's next. All right, what's our first point? You need to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. Okay? If you'll make that part of your diet, if you'll make that part of your life, in fact, on your television, I challenge you to do this. When you finish basic training and you begin to head on off to whatever post or specialty that you're going to do, on your television, I would challenge you to type out that phrase, watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. You type that phrase out, you print it out, you put the pages together, tape it on your television. Challenge yourself to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. There's nothing wrong with entertainment, but make it something more than just feeding your emotions. It needs to feed and educate your mind. You watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. Then second, you need to anticipate what's needed and what's That's right. Learn to anticipate. Absolutely. On the construction field, when I worked as a teenage kid and a college student, the boss loved someone that could anticipate what tool he needed. And when you work with someone long enough, you'll know what tool to have next and hand them. And it's always great when you have someone that can do that. And then lastly, you need to learn to participate. I tell you what, when I got my first invitation to work for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, I got that phone call. We'd like you to come to Charlotte Motor Speedway and help us as a tire specialist. We have your credentials. We have everything you need. We'd like to invite you to come and be a part of the NASCAR pit crew. Man, that was awesome. I was on cloud nine. I wish I could have recorded the phone call. It was awesome. But how did I get to participate? Anybody just want to hazard a guess as to the two basic steps that I took before I was invited to take the third one, to anticipate? Anybody want to? Right there. Yeah, right? Okay. What else? Two simple steps we already talked about. That's right. I watched and anticipated, and I was invited to participate. I'm telling you, there are so many slackers out there right now that if you'll be a person who will just simply watch with an eye to learn, you're going to put yourself in a whole different category. If you will learn not only to watch, but to anticipate what's needed and what's next, you're going to put yourself in a whole different category. And you're going to get yourself noticed for promotion, and you're going to get yourself noticed in racing. You need to watch with an eye to learn, not just to be entertained. You need to anticipate what's needed and what's next, and you need to be willing to participate. All right, now let's just say that you've gotten that chance. You have been invited to come and work in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. You walk in that garage area, you've got your credential, you're walking past Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, all of these guys, Tony Stewart, all of these legendary NASCAR drivers. You're walking past their crew chiefs in the garage area. You're walking past the legends in NASCAR, the Allisons, the Pettys. Richard Petty's very involved. He's in the garage area every weekend. You're talking to these guys. They're looking at you with an eye of recognition. They see you, they recognize, they wave. That's great. Joe Gibbs is very good about that. When he recognizes people, we see each other, we wave at each other. Richard Childress, the same way. Very good about that. You look around the garage and you work enough and you're remembered. You're thinking, man, I can't believe I'm here. They're pushing all these cars to the garage area. You're seeing all these drivers. You're seeing all these crew chiefs. You're seeing all these crews. Man, it's awesome. You got an engine in the car that costs $75,000 just to race for one weekend. Every week, $75,000. You got $2,000 set of tires on the car, and your tire bill at the end of the weekend is over $35,000 just for tires, just for one weekend. And they pay it effortlessly. That's nothing. Paying that amount of money, they can probably pull it out of their wallet. Guys that are that loaded. And I tell you what, guys that are that driven to succeed and that successful, asking you to come help them is a great privilege. So what do you do when you first show up in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series? Well, there's three other things that we need to talk about tonight. You need, number one, is to remember. Remember, you don't know everything. You're thinking, dude, you're talking to the right person. Remember, you don't know everything. Well, that's okay, man. We know you don't know anything and when you first come to work for NASCAR. We're going to teach you what you need to know. But if we're going to teach you what you need to know, what do you need to do? That's right, learn it. You need to watch and anticipate and participate. That's right, you need to learn it. We expect you to learn it. Here's a little phrase I was taught by an old Winston Cup guy. I met a guy that raced back in the Petty days. He said this: lack of experience is understandable, but lack of preparation, listen, lack of preparation is unforgivable. Lack of experience is understandable. Everybody has to start somewhere. And you think, yeah, amen to that, brother. Okay. Lack of experience is understandable, but lack of preparation is unforgivable. Lack of experience is understandable. Lack of preparation is